Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Rank where I climb the online Series 7 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. We are nearing the end of Series 7, as Series 8 rules will go in effect in just over a week, but wanted to obviously finish out Series 7 with a couple of fun episodes of Road to Rank, and so today we are trying out a team that's a little bit more standard, but I wanted to feature this because I know that if you are, trying to climb the ladder in these last couple of days, I think this is a great team to do it. It's pretty standard, it's pretty straightforward for the most part, but it's really dang consistent and really, really good. So it was built by a player called Willie VGC. I've linked his Twitter in the description below, and he actually won a pretty big online grassroots tournament with this just a couple of weeks ago, and I've linked a tournament/team report to that in the description below as well. So it's really helpful if you want to figure out how to play with the different modes of this team, and I'd highly recommend reading through it. So Willie built this team a while ago, but I think it's really consistent, and overall, while there's not too many crazy surprises or kind of off-meta picks, I think that if you just want something really consistent to play games with, this is definitely it. So yeah, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to feature it, so thank you to Willie for the team. As you can see, it's really built around a lot of really bulky Pokemon and the ideas to enable them through Light Clay Grimmsnarl with the screens. Now, Grimmsnarl really ended up being one of the best picks in Series 7, and that's for a good reason. You can either run the Light Clay set or the Full Incense set, or even Eject Button if you want, but Light Clay is really good, especially when paired with multiple Pokemon that are already pretty bulky. So like Tapu Fini and Rotom are great examples here. If you guys remember Eric Rios' Registeel team, we actually had the right side of the team on that team as well. But to round out everything here, you've got Porygon 2, classic double offense with Tri-Attack, Ice Beam, and Trick Room. Porygon 2 Glastrier has probably been one of the most common pairings in Series 7, so not surprising to see that come back. And then Assault Vest Landorus is just a really consistent option in the metagame, especially to counteract some of the colossal teams that we've seen pop up in more recent weeks, especially after Wolfie popularized it in Series 7 specifically. So, a lot of fun components here. Ultimately, the goal is to just try to, sweep with any of Glastrier, Landorus, Fini, or Rotom. I think Glastrier is going to be your go-to option, especially if you can get the Trick Room up, but if not, Landorus, Fini, and Rotom can all be really good, especially Fini and Rotom should they get a Calm Mind or a nasty Plot off. Rotom, really one of my favorite Pokemon in this format. Rotom Heat in Series 1, it's actually one of my probably one of my top Pokemon picks, and it was really anti-meta, and it continues to be really good. The one thing I'll caveat that with is I think Max Rockfall and things like Metagross or Celesteela's becoming a little bit more common. So you do have to watch out for that, but I still think Rotom's a really good pick, especially when you have Screens Grimmsnarl next to it. So yeah, thank you once again to Willie for the team. Check him out, linked in the description below. Question of the day, I want to know what your most memorable Pokemon is. What really do you have the most sentimental value or attachment to? For me, the answer would be my level 100 Swampert from Pokemon Emerald, because Mudkip was my first starter. That was my first game. And thanks as always for watching. If you enjoy, please show support by leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. And let's get started with today's episode. I am still, trying to digest the Series 8 rule set. If you're feeling lost or really confused, don't worry. I think it's such a new format that no one really understands it. So I'm looking forward to just diving into competitive battles with it right when, the Series 8 rule set rolls around. But either way, I think it's going to be really, really interesting. And so I am planning, like I said, to try to make a video to cover the rule set, over the course of the weekend. I'm still working on it at the moment, but yeah, would love to just kind of dissect it, break it down for you guys, and we'll see. I think I honestly wasn't expecting us to switch to a legendary restricted format this early on, so that'll definitely be interesting, but I'm eager for it, so we'll see how things go. First game of the day, our opponent is a really cool team, honestly. They have the Galarian Articuno as well as the Regirock. Scrafty, I honestly haven't seen in a while, and they have triple Fake Out here, consider a Rillaboom and Scrafty, so 3 Fake Out users. So, Calm Mind Fini can be good here. Regirock is actually really scary. And with Galarian Articuno, normally there might be Trick Room there, and it has competitive, so I want to be careful about leading Landorus. Because Landorus is not bad against my opponent's team, but with the double Intimidate and the Regirock potentially with Weakness Policy and Articuno, I have to be careful. Definitely have to be careful. I think Regirock is by far the biggest problem for us here. So I might want to bring both Landorus and Fini. I don't think it's the game for Glastrier, to be honest. Yeah, it doesn't feel great. I think I'm okay going with Grimmsnarl or Rotom as a lead and Fini Landorus in the back. The reason I don't want to lead Landorus is because I'm worried about the Intimidates from my opponent's hand, and I don't want to activate competitive. And Fini I'm a little bit hesitant of, just because my opponent has that Rotom Heat on their end. If they lead Rotom and get a nasty Plot off while I bring in Fini, their Rotom can give us some really, really big issues. So, with Grimmsnarl Rotom, if I went Grimmsnarl or Fini, I guess I could Fake Out the Rotom, but if they had a faster Fake Out user, that'd be a problem. But then I guess it's Rotom versus Rotom. That can get a little bit interesting. Either way, I'm actually really worried about Regirock here. Regirock is honestly like super solid in the metagame right now, and I've seen a lot of top players use it in the last couple of weeks, especially in the Players' Cup 3 qualifiers. So, yeah, I think like it's more than just kind of... I don't even think people thought it was a meme to begin with, but it certainly actually commands a lot of respect. It's going to be Articuno and Regirock. Okay, that's actually a really smart lead, because what you do with this lead is basically say, hey, if you lead Landorus, yeah, you intimidate... Oh, yeah, I can't even intimidate Regirock, right? Not having Will-O-Wisp here is a little bit less than ideal. But I'm nervous about Trick Room going up. So... I mean, I really don't want to just fake out T-Ball Articuno, but I don't know what a better play is here. Like, I kind of want to deny Trick Room. I guess I don't even know if that knocks out Articuno, which is part of the problem. And I didn't bring I feel like Regirock is actually a really tough matchup for us here. Now we can Dynamax Landorus. That's what I'm playing towards. Okay, I think I will just fake out T-Ball Articuno turn 1. I expect Regirock to Dynamax, but maybe they protect fearing Will-O-Wisp. I could see that as well. I think Articuno here, I'm worried about it. Oh, they switch out. Okay, that's great for us. Into Rotom. Yeah, I think they were worried about Will-O-Wisp there, which makes a lot of sense. They don't Dynamax Articuno. Okay, that's actually like the dream start for us there then. That's really good. They weren't going for Trick Room though, so it may have been Tailwind instead, but I'll take that. And we one-shot Articuno. Nice. I figured Articuno protecting there was rather unlikely. Obviously, had my opponent like switched the opposite way, that could have been really bad, but I do think part of the nice thing about Rotom-Heat is that I can bluff Will-O-Wisp with it. I'm not, this set doesn't have it, but your opponent doesn't know that, obviously, which can work in my favor. So if you look at what my opponent has on the field right now, both Landorus and Fini are pretty good into those. So I'm content with that. And they're actually going to bring out the Rillaboom. Okay. That's interesting. That is interesting. Because I think I just saved the Landorus. Like, here you can fake out one of Rotom or Grimmsnarl. And I can Reflect or Light Screen immediately, too, which is nice. Now, if I knock out Rillaboom, that really paves the way for Tapu Fini in this endgame, which is also good. I could also Dynamax Rotom-Heat to just Max Flare Rillaboom, but I think I want to Dynamax Landorus at this point in the match. I think that's a better option. So, I'm down to I think we want to Reflect first, and go for an Overheat onto Rillaboom. Fake Out probably goes into Rotom, but maybe they respect the Dynamax here. Okay, they do target. So that's why I could have Dynamax Rotom, but it just doesn't feel like a great max option. And I went Fake Out here in case they glide, or Reflect first in case they glide next turn. They are going to go for the Nasty Plot, okay. I mean, that's still a problem, I guess. That's still a problem. Because I guess they could Dynamax their Rotom? Like, I'm content to Light Screen here, and Overheat into Rillaboom. But let's see if they commit the Dynamax to Rotom. That'd be really interesting. If you do commit the Dynamax to Rotom, though, I have Assault Vest Landorus in the back, which helps, and I can Spirit Break Rotom to bring it down to +1. Plus, I have the Light Screen, so it's not that bad. I still like this position. Because, to be honest, I didn't know whose Rotom was faster. Let's say I Dynamax my Rotom. Yeah, maybe I knock out Rillaboom and I go up 4-2. But if they get the Nasty Plot off, okay, that's a good switch. And I think it's a safe switch to make on their end, so well played. But I don't think... I still like my play here. They could go for another Nasty Plot. That would be a sick play. That would be a really sick play, actually. Oh, gosh. That actually could be a big problem for us. Because I think you should Dynamax Rotom at this point, to be honest. Okay, they just go for T-Bolt, though. I'll take that. And they target the Grimmsnarl set. Nice. But you can see with screens, pays off for us pretty well. It's awkward, though, because, like, I don't really want to switch Rotom out into either of my Pokemon in the back right now, because it's at mercy of taking a bunch of damage. So I'm down to Spirit Break into the Rotom here. And Overheat Rotom, honestly. Because all I need is the free switching into Landorus-T, right? With Landorus-T, I can max Rockfall. I guess the question is, who do you Dynamax if you're my opponent, right? I actually think they should just Dynamax Rotom, because my team is not exactly very good against Rotom. But they come out the max to Regirock. And honestly, I'll tell you why I don't mind that. Because I have Landorus in the back, right? So by doing this, I can just bring in Landorus. Regirock does not do very much damage to Landorus. At best, you can Rockfall, but with Reflect Up, it's definitely not going to be a 2-hit KO. And with Landorus, I can max Rockfall. And they actually max guard Regirock. Now, that one's surprising to me. So, because the only reason you would max guard there is if you are going for... If you don't have Protect, and you're really worried about taking a Will-O-Wisp this turn. Yeah, they go for Overheat. I think had my opponent actually just gone double Nasty Plot with Rotom and Dynamax Rotom, things would have been a lot tougher. But now, my Landorus-T is in a position to sweep the game. And yeah, in the end, we didn't even have Will-O-Wisp, but it's like, we don't need it, right? So I can bring out Landorus. I think it's probably correct to switch out my Rotom here into Fini. Basically because I just close out the game with Landorus at this point, I think. That's the plan. Even if they max guard Rotom this turn, it's not the end of the world for us. So I can just max Rockfall, switch Rotom out into Fini. My Fini can definitely take a max Rockfall from the Regirock. That max guard was really surprising. And I think this game, I wanted to see the Regirock Dynamax, so I'm happy about that. But I think if my opponent went double Nasty Plot, then Dynamax Rotom, that could have been really scary. And I can totally see why they were hesitant to Dynamax Rotom with the fear of Landorus and Fini in the back. But Landorus and Fini also do well into Regirock, right? So I feel like you have to kind of just, like, pick whichever one is, like, slightly better. And yeah, I mean, if you have Protect on Regirock, you don't need a Max Guard in that position, but yeah. It's also, like, totally likely, like, I've been in scenarios where I end up maxing and like, I wanted to attack, but instead just, like, blunder and just, like, play it safe by protecting. I'm just wondering if they're cursed, like, and they don't have Protect, and that's the reason they went for Max Guard. Because that would make a lot of sense if you're really worried about Will-O-Wisp. But to be honest, like, they weren't knocking out my Rotom slot that turn anyway, so I don't think we were in that much immediate danger. Now we're in really good shape, though, I think. Because if they don't protect Rotom here, we KO, they bring in Rillaboom, I just switch Fini back out into Rotom, max Airstream Rillaboom, that should just be game. If you have Protect here, that makes it a little bit more interesting, but I still think it's the same kind of, you know, I think I still make the exact same plays. It just drags it on for one extra turn, but if Rillaboom doesn't have Protect, Landorus should really cleanly sweep through, and they don't protect the Fini, so I think that should be, or sorry, the Rotom, I think this should be game, assuming this one-shots. Yeah, nice. But this was a really scary game, to be honest, because, like, turn 1 could have gone really bad for us if Regirock actually just Dynamax and attack. Now, I don't have Will-O-Wisp, and I figured I wanted to knock out the Articuno, but could have been really bad. And they're going to Steel Spike, but you can see how good Light Clay and Reflect Grimmsnarl is, right? Like, I just take so little damage with these Pokemon. And these are already naturally Pokemon that are difficult to KO. You know, you've got the lefties on the Tapu Fini, the Citrus on the Rotom. So you add screens on top, and it's just so hard to really do that much damage. So they bring out Rillaboom. I think the best action here is actually to just protect the Tapu Fini instead of hard switching out. And the reason for that is because by protecting here, Landorus can just cleanly Airstream into Rillaboom. So if Rillaboom wants to avoid getting KO'd, you either have to be Copa Berry, which is really unlikely, or you have to protect. If I knock out Rillaboom, it's basically just game over with Tapu Fini. However, if I switch out Tapu Fini here, for example, I go into the Rotom and you have Protect on Rillaboom, that probably doesn't make that much of a difference because I think Landorus wins this just by knocking out Rillaboom, but I think protecting here is just really safe. There's very little downside to doing it. Because the worst case my opponent could go for is a Protect on their Rillaboom and max Rockfall into Landorus, but even if you crit max Rock... Oh, that was actually really sick. Now, actually, I don't think it makes much of a difference, because I don't think Regirock can 3v1 this game, and even with +2 attack, I don't think you one-shot Landorus here. But that was really cool. That was really cool. Self-Grassy Glide to activate the weakness policy. Like, well done. I think that's exactly the play you have to make to try to keep yourself in this one. Because if they just went Fake Out or Glide into Fini, we just insta-win here. So, that was so cool. I was not anticipating that at all. And they correctly anticipate the Protect on the Fini. If they crit Rockfall here, things might get really interesting, but no crit. Okay, nice. And the good thing here is now they activated their own policy, so I don't have to worry about like activating their policy at this point in the game. And their Dynamax is over, so I can just max Quake. I really want to know if they have Curse. I think my opponent respected Will-O-Wisp a lot, and like hats off to them. That's like you should respect Will-O-Wisp. So if they don't have Protect here, oh actually Moonblast is better here because Quake plus Moonblast should definitely be a K on Regirock, so no reason to risk a miss here. And given the lack of Protect, I'm willing to bet then that they have Curse, but I'm not 100% sure on that. Regirock actually hangs on. Actually, it probably would survive a Moonblast then with the Sand Up, but I don't think Rock Slide double KOs here. You probably need a double crit, actually, to pick up the KOs here just because of spread, but Muddy Water hits anyway. Moonblast is just better there because I'm pretty sure 2 Moonblasts. Moonblast, T-Bolt, Moonblast should KO. So when you're in this scenario, like no reason to really go for inaccurate attacks unless you actually think you need the damage of those inaccurate attacks, and that wasn't the case in this one. So we ended up winning, but honestly, I think it was tough for my opponent in a best of 1. Like they were respecting Will-O-Wisp, and I think like they absolutely should. Plus turn 1 worked out really well for us, right? We had an instant 4-3 lead. Oh, we can check the team. Cool. Yeah, so it's Classic Insane, Wide Lens Rotom. That's really interesting. I think, yeah, if they Dynamax Rotom, things could have gotten tougher for us, but... okay, so it wasn't Curse, but it was Iron Defense. It was Iron Defense as the... Yeah, so that makes sense why they max guarded there, to expecting Will-O-Wisp. AV Rillaboom, Sash Articuno. Yep, did have Trick Room. But with Imprison, which is actually really cool. And Max Speed, Max Special Attack, actually. And then Scrafty. That's a really cool team, honestly. And I think we just had the benefit of best of one in this game, where I think if our opponent knew our sets, you can definitely play a lot more aggressively with Regirock, because as soon as you know I don't have Will-O-Wisp on the Rotom, like Regirock could have just stayed in, gone for an Iron Defense turn 1. It's actually really hard to come back from that. So I think we were fortunate to win that one, but I think like my opponent, if we were to play multiple games and they knew this team, I think they would probably play more aggressively with Regirock, and they should. But yeah, I think if they got another Nasty Plot off with Rotom and Dynamax, that things could have been really interesting. This is fascinating. We get 2 Galarian Articuno games back to back. That is not what I would have anticipated. But okay. That's cool. Huh, how do I want to approach this? Landorus is really bad into Mamoswine, but it's obviously good into Alecki, Cinderace, Whimsicott, and Amoonguss. Rotom's really good here, actually. Like, really good. So I probably want to play towards that, right? The thing is, my opponent's team is... The Amoonguss is interesting. If they don't have Amoonguss, it's clearly, like, very hyper-offensive. Articuno also, like, we just saw the last Articuno with having Prison Trick Room. I wouldn't be surprised if that's their Trick Room solution here as well. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I might just go Grimmsnarl, Rotom, Fini, Landorus. It's kind of volatile. I don't know. Like, if I could get Trick Room up, this would be easy. But the problem is the Amoonguss can Spore a lot. Oh, but I have Glastrier, actually. I do have Glastrier. I think Trick Room was probably the better approach in this game, but the reason I was hesitant... If Amoonguss wasn't on that team, I would definitely just leave Grimmsnarl or Porygon. My problem is that if... Like, I really want Rotom-Heat into this matchup. Now, if I go with Trick Room, I'd probably go Grimmsnarl, Porygon, Fini, and Glastrier. But... I think my opponent has enough Trick Room denial on their team. Yeah, so there's the Amoonguss lead immediately with Articuno. Okay. Cool. I don't mind that at all, actually, because what I can do turn 1 is just fake out Amoonguss, Nasty Plot Rotom. And then turn 2, try to KO Amoonguss. As you can see, my opponent led very anti-Trick Room, right? If I went Grimmsnarl or Porygon, they probably go Imprison Spore turn 1. That's my guess. My only fear now is if you're Speedy Amoonguss and like Articuno Tailwinds, and then you actually Spore me next turn. So I probably don't have to Dynamax Rotom, I'll probably just Overheat instead. Let's see. Articuno maxes. Is that a problem? You know, I played Iron Ball Articuno the other day in the Players' Cup 3 online qualifiers. If that were the case, that'd be really interesting. Or if Amoonguss, yeah, I mean, once again, if Amoonguss at +2 speed knocks out Rotom, that's a problem. They protect. Really good play. Really, really good play. Because I honestly think Sash on Amoonguss here is like a decent possibility. So it may have been better, to be honest, to just Dynamax Rotom turn 1. They're not that fast with Articuno, though. Because if I just Dynamax and Max Flared into Amoonguss, I think that's better, because I'm just going to take so much damage from this Max Mindstorm. Oh my goodness, that's way too much damage. That's so bad. Is that Life Orb Articuno, or does it really just do that much damage? Really good play, turn 1. I thought this was pretty safe, but honestly, Articuno just hits like a truck. It's not even Life Orb. Wow. That's a monster. Okay, well, I have to Dynamax Fini or Landorus. Those aren't bad options, actually. Max Fini is honestly not terrible here. So, could be worse. I don't want to get Spored here, so I want to just Spirit Break into this and Overheat, because I'm not surviving a Mindstorm into Rotom anyway, even if I Light Screen. And I don't think anything on their team can take a +2 Overheat plus a... Yeah, okay, nice. I'm assuming there's Sash here, but let's see. Oh, wait, this may have been a problem. I just went Spirit Break onto competitive Articuno. I, wanted to cover for the option of Sash, and I was, fairly sure they'd be Sash. Oh, but they Airstream. Doesn't KO. See, it's interesting though, because my opponent is not going to be playing with many turns of Dynamax, plus I can get a light screen off. Spirit Break was probably less than ideal here though, because I just gave them a special attack boost. So, I don't know. Is it better to risk a Spore there? Probably. I can still light screen this turn, which is good, but like if I had light screen last turn, I'd take less damage. I at least break a Sash on the Articuno, but I don't think giving that a... Now it has a speed boost, which is a big problem. And I can't protect Landorus in the back, which is also part of the problem. So, I was happy with the leads here, but, I don't know. I think Dynamaxing Rotom is the play. Honestly, like, I could have just gone Light Screen Max Flare turn 1. I expected their Articuno to be a little bit more defensive. Maybe because of, like, the last Articuno we played against. But if I Light Screen Max Flare turn 1, like, we're in really good shape, I think. Because then you really can't knock us out easily. I can just Flare KO you the other next turn while Reflect with the Grimmsnarl, and then turn 3 switch Grimmsnarl into Tapu Fini. So this was a game in which like I didn't really consider the option of Dynamax Articuno, and it was actually just a really cool option for my opponent's end. Okay, I'm going down to Light Screen here and then protect the Rotom. The main upside in this game is that I haven't Dynamaxed yet, right? And so I think that's a pretty good advantage for us. Just, like, I don't want to... I'd rather Reflect, but because I activated Competitive, I actually think I need a Light Screen. Yeah, I think the Spirit Break there last turn was questionable, but... Especially because my opponent has Whimsicott, actually. Because they have Whimsicott on their team, that tells me that Sash is more likely on Whimsicott and less likely on Amoonguss. Now, that's not a guarantee, but it's a reasonable assumption to make, I think. Also, I just realized that my opponent has, like, that Regieleki jacket in game, or hoodie, and it looks really cool. Okay. Tapu Fini, like, does really well in this endgame. The only problem is it's really lacking in damage. Let's see if this one-shots... Oh, no, it doesn't come close. Okay. And they Power Ball. Okay. So we can go to Tapu Fini now. But the question is, how much is Tapu Fini really doing here? I suppose I could actually go into Landorus. I set up Light Screen and I'm Assault Vested. Here's my problem. If I go into Fini, Rotom faints next turn, I'm forced to bring out Landorus, and Landorus just faints instantly. If I go into Landorus now, I can Dynamax it, I can max a Rockfall. What's my opponent going to have in the back? I think I'm actually going to go into Landorus, just because Fini doesn't do enough damage into Articuno. That's the problem. Because I actually think I need to knock out Articuno, like, now. I want to double check my speeds, because I could actually also just Airstream with Landorus this turn. So then I outspeed Cinderace next turn, and then I have +1 Landorus Fini, and then I can Airstream again. Yeah, this Articuno was a beast. Monster. +3, +1 speed. Yeah, we are faster with Landorus. And their Articuno was faster than, or slower than our Rotom, so we know that, which is good. I think I like Dynamax Airstream here into Articuno and T-Bolt. The reason I like Airstreaming is because I'm pretty sure with the Intimidate and the AV, I know Articuno's at +3, which is scary, but I have Light Screen and the Assault Vest, and I'm Dynamaxing, so I don't think you like one-shot me. If it does, then so be it. But the reason I like Airstreaming here is because I think Rotom goes down this turn. If Rotom goes down, I get Fini, and I can Airstream get a speed boost onto Lafini as well. That's helpful against a Mamoswine endgame. Yeah, that does not do that much. Okay, nice. And they just offer high jump kick. Okay, that's fine. That's actually great for us, because they just changed the flying type as well. Or sorry, I mean fighting type. Ideally, Airstream like just fall short of KOing Articuno. Because I actually don't want them to get a free switch in here. Nice. That's great. Yeah, now I can go into Tapu Fini. Oh, it's going to be a close finish. Especially, is it going to be Mamoswine, Alecki, Whimsicott? Those are their last three. If I just went Rockfall there, would things have been better? I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm happy to just go for Airstream here and Muddy Water. Yeah, Landers will be a +2. If they have Mamoswine in the back, Fini's looking mighty fine in this endgame. Ice Shard is also not a guaranteed KO onto Landorus. If they're Life Orb, no, they can't be Life Orb. The Life Orb's on the. Oh, that's also an interesting. What item? I just realized like Amoonguss, yeah, is so unlikely to be Sash in this matchup, right? Because they have Sash, they have Whimsicott and Mamoswine, and those Pokemon typically fight for Sash. Like Sash is like the #1 option on both of those. So yeah, this was an example where I intentionally didn't want to knock out the Articuno because I knew if I knocked it out, my opponent could get a free switch it into Mamoswine potentially. Oh, they go Sucker Punch. Okay. Cool, that's fine. Yeah, we outspeed. Now we get Airstream off. Was Moonblast better there? I don't know. They've revealed Sucker Punch, Pyro Ball, High Jump Kick. Those are all standard. I'm willing to bet you have Max Airstream on this as well with Bounce. I don't think has Protect. Moonblaster probably just would have won us the game, but was that better? Maybe this just KOs anyway? Oh, it's close. We got an accuracy drop, which is nice. So let's see what their last one is. I think if it's... Actually, regardless of who it is, I think we're good at this point. Like, Mamo... If you're Mamo, that is Mamo, right? Yeah, it is. Because I can just Airstream again now. Fini should win against Mamoswine 1v1. We just have to hit the Muddy Waters, I guess, is the main problem here. But I can't Protect. So I'm just going to Airstream here into Mamoswine and Muddy Water. Yeah, I think Mamoswine makes the most sense, right? If it's a Lecky or Whimsicott, it's an insta-win regardless of how we play it out. So we just have to consider the worst-case option of Mamoswine being the last one and play accordingly. I also have to wonder whether or not I should have Calm Minded last turn. But Muddy Water should be a 2-hit KO onto Mamoswine anyway. They actually protect Mamoswine. That's actually fine by me, because I break his Sash potentially this way. I actually dodged the Sucker Punch. You don't see that often. Yeah. I don't think that really makes too much of a difference, because I would feint to Ice Shard next turn anyway. So, that damage is kind of negligible. Well, we do dodge, we do miss the Muddy Water. I think Fini, like, I positioned myself for late game Fini game here anyway, right? So I think we're still fine. What's scary, though, is now, if I continue to miss Muddy Waters, it could get dicey. 228 speed, so we should outspeed Cinderace now. Okay, I'm just down to Rock Slide and Muddy Water. I think maybe Moonblasting Cinderace last turn is better, just to guarantee the knockout onto it. Yeah, because I think it has 2 more Life Orb ticks in it. I think it's at, like, it's just over 10%, right? We actually dodged another Sucker Punch. Do they not have Ice Shard? I guess they're just not going for it. I guess they're just going for Earthquake or High Horsepower here. We hit the Muddy Water, so yeah, that's game. Like, I think even if the Sucker Punch is connected, we're still in a pretty good position with the Tapu Fini, and that's why I really wanted to get the speed boost onto it for the endgame. Like, Max Airstream is really good because you can boost your speed, right? People often think about Airstream mainly in the context of, like, the current situation, right? Like, what you're facing at the moment, but it is really good in the endgame scenario. If you can guarantee a speed boost onto something that normally doesn't outspeed what your opponent has, you can completely sweep through. So we came back in that one. I do think Dynamaxing Rotom would have been a smarter play on turn 1. I also played into a competitive, which wasn't a very smart decision on my end, but the good thing is that my opponent spent 3 turns of Dynamax to effectively knock out 1 Pokemon, so that was obviously very good for us. Wow. Another Regirock team. This one is Surfetch, though. That's really cool. I just, like, can't believe in the 3 games we played today, it's Regirock, Articuno, and now Regirock. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Okay. They have Trick Room. So funny. Are we not going to end up bringing Glastrier at all today? Glastrier is just not good into these matchups. Like Torkoal and Regirock? Less than desirable here. This is a weird matchup. It's a really cool team, so I'm excited. Grimmsnarl I like, just for screen pressure. Actually, there is, like, we could go Grimmsnarl Glastrier, because, like, that actually just does a lot of damage right from the start. But I feel like, like how we played that first game, I lean towards Dynamaxing the Landorus. Now, they don't have Intimidate on this team, so we could just lead Landorus in this game, actually. Maybe that's not too bad here. Maybe we can lead Landorus. Fini for sure. We need that. I'm down to bring Glastrier, I think, because they obviously have like a pseudo Trick Room team. If we can eliminate... actually, I don't know. Glastrier has so many weaknesses here that I don't feel super confident in it, but yeah. It's a really cool team from my opponent's end, though. I just think it's so fascinating that in the first episode, first game, we see two Pokemon that are already not that common. I mean, Regirock's decently meta right now, but Articuno definitely is not that common, unless, like, things have changed. Oh, man, Glastrier actually would have been sick here. Okay. I don't think I Dynamax Landorus, though. I can switch into Glastrier, though, right? So it's okay. Like, I'm down to just Reflect turn 1, switch into Glastrier, and then maybe predict the Rillaboom switch out next turn as I have Glastrier in, because I've gotten the Intimidate off. If I had Swords Dancer, I'd go for it. They know I'm Assault Vested, though. You should be fine content, like, faking out into Landorus, because if I Dynamax and committed Airstream, well, then I've Dynamax Landorus. Well, that's not good. So, I think I want to switch out into Glastrier here. Now, if we knock out the Rillaboom, actually, that paves the way for Tapu Fini, but Dynamaxing Landorus to knock out Rillaboom here is not worth it, because I think our Dynamax is really important, because their Dynamax Regirock should give them a significant advantage. Yeah, so they fake out into Grimmsnarl. Yep. And Trick Room. But that's not the end of the world, right? Like, I do get Glastrier in relatively safely. I can get a Reflect up, and I don't even have to Dynamax Glastrier this next turn. The only problem is what if you have Will-O-Wisp on the Clops. I don't even think I need a Reflect this turn, right? Question is whether or not I want to predict a Regirock switch in. Close Combat's pretty dang good here, actually. Covers all the switches. I'm down for Spirit Break Close Combat this turn. Like, Regirock's switching in here. Okay, they just go for Glide, which is a good play. It's fine. They do have Will-O-Wisp as well. Okay. Yeah, this is going to be tough then. I think Regirock is going to be in the back, and I think it's going to cleanly sweep through us. Oh, the Dusclops is a big problem because of the Will-O-Wisp. Because it means you can burn my Landorus, too. And I am really relying on physical attackers. My way around that, actually, was switching Grimmsnarl out into Tapu Fini. I think I actually really like that play. I should have respected Will-O-Wisp enough to switch in Tapu Fini there, and I didn't, and it punishes me. Okay, based off how this is playing out, I think we definitely want to Dynamax Tapu Fini in this game. It's definitely a Max Fini game because I think they have Regirock in the back and they probably have Bulldoze to activate Weakness Policy. So this turn I'm content to go for a Reflect. I'll Icicle Crash, knock out the Rillaboom ideally. And now if we can eliminate Rillaboom, that paves the way for Tapu Fini. So that's good. This is like not the best start, but it's still definitely salvageable. Interesting, the Rillaboom is actually not going for Glide here, so I should just KO it before it gets an attack off. And I'm guessing they were U-turning there to try to get a free switch in into whatever they wanted. But I actually get the knockout there, so that's good. Okay. So Tapu Fini's biggest threat is out of the way. That's good. We get Chilling Neigh off, which is also good. We've seen Nightshade, Will-O-Wisp, Trick Room, so Pain Split typically is the fourth. But, you know, the thing about Dusclops is that it gets so many good moves. Obviously, you want Nightshade, Trick Room, Pain Split most of the time. But for the last one, Will-O-Wisp, Haze, Ally Switch. You know, actually, but don't you want something to self-activate Weakness Policy? Like Bulldoze? Because they have Regirock. So I'm expecting Regirock, and then you just, like, try to activate a policy on that. Is that Regirock coming in? Yep. The Will-O-Wisp is so bad. But I think if I could play this out, I want to, like, play towards Calm Mind Fini. I just, like, I don't know. Do you have Weakness Policy? Like, Bulldoze Weakness Policy here? That's what I'm expecting. Already reflected. I don't really want to switch out. Down a Spirit Break here. Protecting is interesting. I like protecting here. Partially is because I can't protect with the Landorus in the back. Okay, they don't Dynamax. That would have been a better reason to close combat, though. I do more damage. Okay, they just Nightshade. Oh, no. Is it Iron Defense? That definitely could be a possibility. Train Punch. Interesting. That's actually really cool because you heal back any damage I do, right, with Drain Punch. Okay, so you get very marginal chip onto Dusclops. Here's the thing. Because they have Drain Punch, I don't want to target the Regirock. I think we double up onto Dusclops, but this also makes me think they actually can't activate, like, that's not weakness policy, or if it is, they can't self-activate it with Bulldoze. So, like, here, honestly, I'm content to just Spirit Break and Icicle Crash and just get more chip onto Dusclops. Because if you're going to Drain Punch, you're going to heal back anyway, but what I can't risk is switching Glastrier out into Tapu Fini and then getting Fini, like, Fini eating up, like, a Max Rockfall, for example. That'd be really bad. Because Fini's our main win condition that we're playing towards, especially with the elimination of Rillaboom at this point in the match. And, like, this is typically, like, one Pokemon can often have a really big advantage in a matchup if you can get rid of, like, the main threat to that Pokemon, right? And in this case, the main threat really is going to be the, Gosh, okay, because what I'm going for here, we could still Dynamax Landorus. I actually think that's not a bad possibility as well. They did just go for Rock Slide here, but that's fine. I want Glastrier to faint at this point. Like, it's done its job. I guess Grimmsnarl hanging on is actually not great for us, because, like, I want this thing to faint. Jeez, I don't even think a Max Quake Spirit Break knocks out Dusclops. It's actually a really big issue if so. I don't know, I need Max Quake to probably do like 45%. It's close, it's close. Dusclops is just so dang bulky. I could just go into Fini and Calm Mind here. I think I'm going to just try to pick up the knockout onto Dusclops to deny another Trick Room, because as we saw in the first game, Regirock kind of falls short against Landorus. Oh wait, actually, I didn't even think about this. It could have Ice Punch as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that were AV Regirock. Max Landorus is really good here, though. Okay, it's Spirit Break, Dynamax, Quake, and hope it's enough to knock out Dusclops at, like, 55. Yeah. I don't know, if I bring in Fini, like, I guess Fini's pretty good in this endgame, too. My opponent would have Torkoal, but the problem with Fini is that it doesn't do enough damage to make me feel comfortable, right? I could Calm Mind, but, like, if Regirock, Dynamax, and Rock falls, that kind of hurts. And with Reflect Up, I'm not really worried about Regirock damage output. Interesting, they do finally commit the Dynamax to Regirock, but I don't mind that, like I said, because I think Landorus is pretty good against Regirock. Now, I don't want to Rockfall into the, or sorry, Quake into the Regirock, but as long as I play around Regirock, Landorus plus Fini should beat it in the end game. The only question is whether or not this double up KOs Dusclops. I'm willing to bet it actually might hang on. It's just such a bulky Pokemon. And if so, that's obviously really bad news for us. Let's see. That is, oh my gosh. That's not enough. It's going to hang on with 5%-ish or so, I think. Wow, that's so strong. I'm so bulky. Oh my gosh. Actually, that was like such a bailout crit. Oh my gosh. Wow. Wow. I mean, that wins us the game, I think. Based off the fact I needed the crit, though, it absolutely means I don't think I should have just brought Fini out. It was close, but the problem was the grassy terrain recovery. Dusclops healing multiple turns from grassy terrain was bad for us. What is that? Oh, it's Surf Fetched. That's cool. Well, they can crit through. Actually, it's still not over, honestly. I'm gonna just Spirit Break here. And Airstream. Oh, wait, I forget. We're faster now, so yeah, it's over. But that was like that was a super, super lucky critical hit. Like, because if we don't get that, I'm sure they set up Trick Room again, and then I don't think I can really beat them under Trick Room. I guess the correct option was to go Tapu... but I don't know. I just can't do damage to Dusclops. That's the problem. I guess I could bring in Fini and just Calm Mind since I do have Reflect Up, but then they could just Rockfall, and that's so bad into Fini. But I guess I can heal back with Leftovers. And I still, like, I never saw... I guess we can confirm the item on Regirock here, right? I want to Quake it to see if it has Policy, but, like, if it were Weakness Policy, what I was worried is, okay, if I Calm Mind, you can just, like, Bulldoze, Max Rockfall. I guess because they never Bulldoze, like, maybe they're not Policy'd. I don't know. Let's find out. I really want to know if, like, I had a chance to double up the Dusclops, like, if like, the crit was absolutely needed, or if, like, if we just get high damage rolls, maybe we can pull it off, but... That's so bulky. Let's see if it is Weakness Policy. Because the Policy was what I was worried about this entire time, but if it's, like, AV, then... I don't know. Fini could have just gone to town. It was Policy in the end, yeah, okay. Just, did Dusclops not have a way to activate the Policy, then is my question. Because I guess you'd only really run Brick Break or Bulldoze, but... I feel like they had an opportunity to just activate the Policy multiple turns if they actually had an attack on Dusclops. Right? To activate it. But it didn't look like that was the case. Anyway, this was a game in which we got very lucky to win. Was it poor execution? Like, I guess I didn't have great Dusclops answers. What's my best way to beat Dusclops? Because I don't have Taunt. I don't have super effective damage. Yeah, Dusclops, I guess, is, like, a little shaky. You, like, play around it. I thought I had chipped it enough to the point where Landorus, Grimmsnarl, double up could pick up a KO, but... that Dusclops looked like it was probably max HP, max defense, so I guess that was the other part of the problem for us here. Can just Spirit Break EQ now, I think. Actually, the correct course of action is to switch Grimmsnarl out into Fini. No, it's not. Wait, it's definitely not. Because Moonblast, EQ Moonblast should KO at this point, I think. It maybe survives the EQ, but not a Moonblast as well. Yeah, Earthquake's enough. Okay. Yeah, this was a game in which, like, it's always good to assess whether or not you needed the RNG to win, and this one was like, okay, I was definitely not in a great spot. I think if I were to replay this, now knowing those damage calcs on Dusclops, like, I wasn't 100% sure, got a little bit greedy, and I end up getting rewarded for what was probably a suboptimal play. Like, with Fini, it's just so tough, because, like, I don't want to Geyser into Dusclops because it can just Pain Split. I'm not going to KO Dusclops. I don't want to Geyser into Regirock because I don't want to activate a Weakness Policy. And I don't want to... If I Calm Mind and I just eat up a Max Rockfall that turn, then the question is, like, I guess that's probably the best action. I think what I probably should have done was Calm Mind on the first turn. Even if you Max Rockfall, you're not going to activate your own Weakness Policy that turn. So I survive with, like, over 50% plus. I can max Guard or just max Geyser Dusclops the next turn. Yeah, I think Fini was probably the right answer there to play towards Calm Mind, especially because I knew Rillaboom was already eliminated, and this entire time I was talking about, oh, we eliminate Rillaboom, Fini's so good. I was just nervous about the lack of damage output, but I think because we had Reflect Up, we can bring in Fini, Calm Mind, and either protect /max Guard /max Geyser Dusclops turn 2, depending on the range that it's at. Because I would have got Spirit Break onto it, so hoping Max Geyser could then KO, given that it seemed more defensive. And then I have Fini Landorus against Surfetched plus Regirock, but I don't know. How fast is Surfetched again? Because if that thing undersped our Fini, it also could have just crit Leaf Blade us. That was like a tough matchup, honestly. Yeah, their Surfetched was probably going to be able to outspeed Fini, so actually I don't even know if Fini is the answer there. Because if we are eating up a Rockfall that turn, which my opponent should go for, it's tough. It was a really tough position, regardless of how I played it out. So we were lucky to get the crit, but honestly, I think, like, my opponent had a really good team, and they executed it well, too. The Will-O-Wisp was part of the problem, and I think I could have made it maybe a little bit easier for myself by switching in Fini the turn I got hit by Will-O-Wisp. The reality is that Regirock is not exactly an easy matchup, and that's why actually it's like a top-tier Pokemon that absolutely demands respect right now if you're team building. So, yeah. We definitely got lucky to win that one, but yeah, we'll take it. Pretty fun set of games either way, though. Like I said, this team I think is really, really darn consistent. If you're looking for something to climb with in these last couple of days, would highly recommend it. It's very consistent, works out really, really well, and just has a lot of bulk to play with as well. So, yeah. Thanks as always for watching. Thank you to Willie for the team. Check him out, linked in the description below once again for the team report and for his Twitter. And leave a like if you enjoy. I'll catch you all next time. All right. Peace.